Good morning, all of you. Welcome to the channel. So let us start with today's analysis video for 27th of May. So in this picture, you can see the new parliamentary building, and this is the Lok Sabha hall inside the new parliament complex. And as we know that the building is going to be inaugurated tomorrow. So Supreme Court refuses to hear the plea against opening of the parliament by the Prime Minister. So opposition parties का मानना ये है कि पार्लियामेंट की जो बिल्डिंग न्यू बिल्डिंग है इट शुड बी इनॉग्रेटेड बाय द प्रेसिडेंट एंड नॉट द प्राइम मिनिस्टर सो मेनी पार्टीज दे हैव कॉल्ड फॉर अ बॉयकॉट and they will not be present in this event. So Supreme Court ने refuse कर दिया है to hear this plea which was filed, and it was saying कि it was basically against the Prime Minister inaugurating the parliamentary building. So IMD, it retains its normal outlook for the monsoon. So normal monsoon predictions forecast by IMD, and it says that from June to September this year, they have predicted it to be a normal monsoon. And at 96%, the long period average, which is 50-year of mean of 87 centimeter, this is at the lowest end of what is considered the normal. So ये जो range होती है उसका lower end पे 87 per again saying 87%, 87 centimeter is at the lower end of the range of the category of the normal monsoon. So 96% the long period average of 87 centimeter is the category जब आप normal monsoon बोलते हो. So chances of an El Nino forming are near certain, and this will likely mean कि जो rainfall levels है it will be below normal in the northwest India. So if we have the El Nino and its impact on the monsoon, तो उस situation में जो मीन है, मीन लेवल एवरेज लेवल है, उससे लोअर लेवल पे हमें मॉनसून देखना पड़ेगा देखने को मिलेगा इन दी नॉर्थ वेस्ट इंडिया. And the key factor influencing the quantum of the monsoon rains is the development of an El Nino. तो आपको पता होना चाहिए all about कि what are the conditions which leads to the formation of El Nino, La Nina के बारे में, all the important terms related to the monsoon, that becomes important. और नेक्स्ट सेंसस की अगर हम बात करें तो ओनली 6 रिलीजन ऑप्शंस मेक इट टू द नेक्स्ट सेंसस फॉर्म. सो डिटेल्ड कोड्स फॉर Sarnaism, the Lingayat religion, etc., they were dropped in the final schedule form to include questions on the source of drinking water. So, इससे regarding भी data collect किया जाएगा. And कुछ new elements है, कुछ old elements है. So next census it retains 6 options for the religions, 6 categories मिलेगी for the religions. New queries about the travel time and metro rail usage that has been added regarding metro. Then census it introduces questions on bottled water consumption and migration due to natural calamities. So basically, what are the impacts because of climate change? So we are trying to understand them. However, it is not so broad, but yes, we are like opening up and coming up with such new types of questions. The next census, it will be India's first digital one. So this is going to be the first, and this would allow the citizens to participate from the comfort of their home. And census, it now includes categories like acid attack, also intellectual disability, chronic neurological disease, and blood disorder in the disability section. So disability section को भी update किया गया है, and code directory is added to streamline the data processing. On the editorial page, sedition and its roots in rudeness as an offense. So this is obviously centered around sedition law. So 30th March को the Lahore High Court annulled the offense of sedition in the Pakistan Penal Code. So जो पाकिस्तान में पूरा incidents हुआ, it is talking about that. So while the courts they are examining key what is the validity of the law of sedition, its defining logic has already transplanted itself into several different provisions of law that criminalize speech. So यहाँ पे completely like it is talking about the Pakistan incident. So will not go into the details. India में जो section है, it is 124A, which talks about sedition and basically क्या conditions है जब आप sedition law या sedition use कर सकते हो. So fountainhead of the people's hopes and aspirations. So this is talking about parliament. So we are in the 75th year of independence. We're celebrating it. So India is set to witness a historic moment with the inauguration of the new parliament house on 28th of May. That's tomorrow. So after using a parliament building that is nearly a century old and it symbolized a colonial era, we finally have a new structure in independent India. So जो current parliamentary building here, almost it is 100 years old, and definitely that is also one of the symbols of colonial era. So some people they may be misled by the idea that this is a new parliament setup, but the new building will be another extension of the existing parliament complex to signify the spirit of change and continuity. So journey of our parliament from what it was yesterday to what it would be in the future. So this is basically a kind of a journey of the Indian Parliament, and old building gave the direction to independent India, while the new one will witness the making of India as Atmanirbhar Bharat. So it is very nicely interpreted, and that's how even like this needs to be there in the essay thing. So challenges of the Parliament House. What are the challenges when we talk about the Parliamentary House? So the main Parliament House, which was inaugurated in 1927, it consists of circular shaped structure which is visible from the outside. So जो अभी ओल्ड पार्लियामेंट्री बिल्डिंग है उसकी शेप जो है सर्कुलर है, मतलब नॉट एग्जैक्ट सर्कल, इट इज ओवल इन शेप वी कैन से. There are two floors. They were added to this building in 1956 to accommodate more staff and other offices. And need for yet more space, it led to the construction of the Parliament Annex in the 1975. So 2002 में Parliament Library that was added, and for similar reasons, extension of the Parliament Annex, it was constructed in 2016. So basically time to time as they like just say we felt the need ki we need this and that. So accordingly the things were updated and constructed in the old parliamentary building. So apart from the shortage of the space inside the Parliament House, there were several other challenges also. So this was one of the challenges. There was a shortage of space, so isliye we had to go for the new parliamentary building. Talking about what were the other challenges, so existing Parliament House, it is a majestic structure with a unique architectural style, but it presents a different view from the inside. It had to be retrofitted multiple times, which left little space for further improvements. Again, matlab, yeah, it is 100 years old building and it was like built during colonial times. So उस time पे and आज के time में अगर आप बात करो तो definitely कुछ repair, कुछ challenges definitely आएंगे in terms of the infrastructure that has been built. Safety के issue आएंगे. So and जो sitting capacity थी, all of that was an issue. So the new building here that is equipped for the needs of today, definitely that is more spacious. It is energy efficient also and accessible. So it has the most updated technology, which makes it well equipped for future needs as well. So while laying the foundation of the new parliamentary building, the Prime Minister emphasized increasing the efficiency of the MPs and modernizing our work culture. So in the new building, we will be able to accommodate various languages with the state-of-the-art facilities for simultaneous interpretations as well as better features for audio-visual communication as compared to the existing parliament. So in terms of technology, it is a completely and well equipped with modern technology, more spacious. And when we talk about energy efficiency, so even that aspect has been taken into consideration. Better gadgets, they have been installed, and access to an e-library that is there, and important reports, they will be easily accessible for the members from their seats because of the new equipments that has been installed in the new parliamentary building. Then the building, it has publicly accessible museum grade galleries also. Constitution Hall is there, which showcases India's age old history of democracy. Like India is another first country to have constructed a new parliamentary building due to paucity of space and to meet the changing needs. So a new Parliament House, it was constructed in 1988 in Australia in front of the old one. Iconic United States Capitol, which was constructed in 1793, it has seen several upgrades, and parliamentary building of Israel built in 1966. It was also upgraded with the new wings in 1981 and again in 1999. So basically here also it is like giving examples of different countries. So modern legislature is required to work in tune with the challenges of time. So country has already paid huge cost in terms of social and economic both due to absence of laws when needed the most. So world is changing fast, and it is on the verge of a tectonic shift due to the emergence of machine learning and artificial intelligence. So when we're talking about tectonic shift, so don't go by its literal meaning, but in terms of technology and how fastly the world is changing and it is evolving in terms of technology, in terms of new challenges. So that needs to be taken into consideration as far as the new parliamentary building and the functioning of it is concerned. So new parliament building, it should remind us to prepare and equip ourselves to face up the new challenges. So as a fountainhead of the people's hopes and aspirations, particularly those of the younger generation. So it would work as a lighthouse to guide us in our ambiguity journey to build Ek Bharat and Shresth Bharat. So the Sengol, it is there in news, and it becomes very important to know us all the minute details regarding it. So souvenirs show scepter was given to Mountbatten. So all the important things about it you've discussed before also, so you can just go through this once, or you can Google it and you can clearly find out about all the important details. So Indus Water Treaty, you need to know all the important details about this. Also, it was a deal which was brokered by the World Bank between India and Pakistan, and it was in 1960. Then, when we talk about the sharing of waters of different rivers, there are six rivers. So Indus, Chenab, and Jhelum, the water is to be used by Pakistan. It is the rights they rest with Pakistan, and Ravi, Bias, and Satluj rests with India. So they are called the east flowing river, and the ones which Pakistan has the right to use the water, Indus, Chenab, Jhelum, they are called the western rivers. So that is there, and definitely all the rivers in northern India, that is also very important for us to know. So that's there. So Gaganyaan crew training plan, it is to be like that has been released by Navy and ISRO. So this is going to be a human space flight that is scheduled to be launched in the fourth quarter of 2024. So astronauts designates for the mission, they are currently undergoing their mission specific training at Bengaluru. Coming to the world page here, we see that Bhutan and China, they claim progress in the boundary export group talks. Two sides, they reiterated the importance of meeting more frequently. So there is a border dispute when we talk about the Doklam issue. So that Doklam is a region at the tri-junction between India, Bhutan, and China. On the business page, so SEBI to ease the passive fund rules very soon. So new light touch regulatory framework, which is aimed at the ETFs, index funds, says SEBI's Bora. So board member says that jo passives hain, they have seen a sharp pickup in the assets under management, and they cite transparency and diversification provided by these funds as the rationale for the easier norms. So since they are attracting much more attention of the investors. So that's why SEBI it is targeting to make the rules much more easier, the norms to be easier, so that even investors or people who are putting their money into them, they do not have much difficulty in understanding them. So market regulator, it is set to soon introduce new mutual fund norms that are aimed at easing the rules for the passive funds. So Fed pause in doubt after strong US data. So Fed Reserve policymakers got a dose of unexpectedly strong economic data on Friday that bolstered the case for further monetary policy tightening to bring down the persistently high inflation. So consumer spending surged 5.8 percentage. And that's good news as far as showing the economy is not on the verge of recession, but bad news for the policymakers looking for a slowdown that could ease pressure on the prices. So economy की अगर हम बात करें उसके लिए तो it's a good news कि we are not seeing any, or we can't say right now कि the economy is heading towards a recession or there is like a kind of major slowdown that we are going through. But when we talk about the monetary policy or at the policy front, so because consumer spending that is increasing, so obviously that will be driving the inflation as well. So for that tight monetary policy, still it needs to continue as far as the US economy is concerned. And as we know that it directly impacts even the Indian economy. So the sentiments here, they are also impacted. And that is not something that we want to happen in future. So inflation by the Fed's preferred gauge actually accelerated to 4.4% from a year earlier, with the core prices, which is a key measure of the underlying pressures, gaining 4.7%, up from the 4.6% pace in the March. So the target level of inflation for Fed is 2%, but right now it is at 4.7%. So for that, they'll have to continue with the tight monetary policy, and they'll be increasing the interest rates as per the expectations. And then there is also the debt ceiling crisis that is very much in news also as far as US economy is concerned. So we have discussed all about that as well, and I hope you're clear with its meaning and the likely implications and what do we mean by it. So recession in Germany, we talked about this yesterday. So it may adversely hit the India's exports. So the exports sector that is coming under pressure. And when we talk about the services exports, so you need to be very clear that that is one of the major, we can say, strength of Indian economy as far as the export sector is concerned. And we enjoy an export surplus, or sorry, all in all surplus when we talk about the services sector, because we export more than what we import. So with the German economy contracted for the two consecutive quarters, India's exports from sectors like apparels, footwear, and leather goods to the European Union nation, they are likely to be impacted adversely. So this would definitely be impacting our exports not only to Germany but Europe as a whole, because then other countries, they are also going to be in recession or they are headed toward the recession, and definitely things will become very cautious over there. So this is a kind of we can say a new challenge and kind of a fearful situation in Europe. Coming to the main newspaper, today we don't have much important news, but we'll just talk about in brief about tea because a question has been asked in UPSC examination over to tea and the different tea varieties. So it is majorly focusing upon tea tourism, how that can be promoted. So this is a picture from the tea estate in Darjeeling. Again, it is from Darjeeling, and here also it is from Darjeeling, the tea gardens. So we can say that Darjeeling, it is tea lovers mecca, but despite producing less than 1% of the total tea. So when we talk about the Darjeeling tea and its share out of the total tea production, so the share is even less than 1%. But when it comes to the significance as far as tea is concerned, so here we are talking about the quality and not the quantity or the volume. So that's very important. And so we definitely have sheer variety of tea, the landscape and the culture. So it is the world's second largest producer of tea. So India is the second largest producer of tea in the world, with each region offering a unique tea and equally unique narrative that exists. So it is the biggest market for its teas, with nearly 90% consumed within the country. So we are not like kind of a major exporter of tea, but 90% goes to the domestic consumption itself. But our mass market tea, it is not about the origin or the terroir or the people who have toiled for it. Unlike China, so China, which is the world's largest producer of tea, or Japan, we have a refined tea culture. So it's not about craft either. Much of the tea made and sold in India, it is driven by price. So this has left the industry vulnerable to inflation also and unviable prices. So because the reason of such a high domestic consumption of our indigenously produced tea is the price. So because of inflation, then obviously the sales and all of that suffers because of unviable prices as well. So countries like China, Japan, Thailand, and Malaysia, they have shown how tea tourism, it can transform the village economy. So definitely tea holds a lot of potential when it comes to transforming the village economy. So China's domestic market, it is an active participant in its tourism also. So in terms of tourism, it can play a very important role, and it can definitely boost the village economy. So in Japan, tours, they can include a tea butler to take care of the guests' tea. Taiwan may it has slow tea tours. In Europe, there is Pressland tea is designated as UNESCO intangible cultural heritage as well. Though tea it is not grown there, but still they enjoy the style. So this is an acknowledgement of its tea drinking culture that exists there. So definitely tourism would also help in enhancing the appreciation for the tea and get the better prices. For while the cost of production that is rising, so price of tea that is not. So here tourism becomes very important, and the tea prices, they have grown at the compound annual growth rate of around 4% since 2014, while the cost of inputs, it has grown at the rate of 9 to 12%. So you can see that cost of production has grown at a much higher rate compared to the prices of tea. So we can like work more on promoting the tea tourism. And you can find out about the different varieties of teas which are found in India, and also what are the climatic conditions required for the cultivation of tea or the tea plantations. Taking up financial express. So IMD sticks to normal rain forecast. This we have seen, and here as we were talking about different categories that exist. So this is like it is not mentioning about exactly the categories, but for different years, what was the like monsoon in India. So from 2018, we have the data. In 2018, it was below normal, and it is like 91% of the long period average. So when it is at 91, it is below normal. 96, we are like predicting this year. So 96 is normal. You can see 96 for this year is normal. 106 was witnessed last year, so that was above normal. Even 99, that is also normal. 109 is above normal. 110 is again above normal. So in 2019 and 20, continuously we had above normal monsoon. Then next year we had the normal monsoon and again above normal. So these have been, we can say, comfortable years as far as the monsoon and then the agricultural sector is concerned. So this year again, as I'm saying that we have discussed about this thing a lot, that IMD forecast that there might be an El Nino, or we are forecasting El Nino like conditions. So that definitely negatively impacts the Indian monsoon. And then you need to know clearly about what do we mean by Indian Ocean dipole. So this is a measure of the Indian Ocean surface temperature. So that plays an important role, positive and negative Indian Ocean dipole. So you can find out about that. So that's all as far as the monsoon is concerned. So the Modi government, which took over in 2014, so it completes 9 years. So indices, they surge over 150% when we are seeing the complete 9 year tenure. So here you can see a big or a very sharp dip. This was during COVID-19 when the news about COVID-19 broke out. So it was during that time, and you can see after COVID-19 how the markets they have performed. If it dropped very sharply, you can see how sharply it has recovered and regained and made new records. You can see that it rose very sharply. So here it was gradually increasing. But here, when you look at the slope, it's like very sharp. So that's there. And in like on 26th of May 2014, we were the markets, they were the Sensex was at 24,716. And after 9 years, it is at 62,500. So that is 150% increase in the Sensex, which is an index, and it records the like it's an index for the Bombay Stock Exchange, the companies which are listed there. So here even the chart for top gainers, top losers, and top wealth creators that has been listed. Definitely Reliance Industries is in the top, followed by TCS, then HDFC Bank, Hindustan Unilever, and ICICI Bank. So India's imports of the Russian oil is in troubled waters. So major maritime services company drops 21 Catic vessels. So crude facts, when you talk about the crude oil and the important facts regarding the crude oil that we're importing from Russia. So Loyal's register to withdraw the certification of 21 Gatic ship management vessels by June 3. Maritime Services Company certification is vital for securing the insurance and entry to the ports. So it is important to have the certification if you want to, go for the insurance thing and ensure the entry to ports. But they are saying that they are going to withdraw certification of 21 Gatic ships. So Gatic emerged this year as a leading carrier of the Russian oil to India using a fleet of over 40 tankers. So that would be like it's obviously a negative thing for India. And so far, we have imported around 2.76 million ton of Russian oil in vessels which are managed by Gatic in the first 4 months of this year. So according to Refinitiv data, about 1.36 million ton of Russian crude is earmarked for arrival in India in May and June on the Gatic tankers. So in response to the Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Western powers, they had imposed a price cap on the Russian crude of $60 a barrel, while non-European Union countries, they can import the seaborne Russian crude. Western ship owners and insurers, they are prohibited from handling such cargoes unless they are sold at or below that price. So last month, spot prices for the Russian crude oil, they rose above $60 a barrel, and some ships' insurance executives said they were nervous of falling foul of the rules as they were unable to independently track the value of the cargoes. सो इवन हमने ये चीज पहले भी डिस्कस करी थी कि जो सैंक्शंस इम्पोज किए गए थे ऑन द रशियन क्रूड बिकॉज ऑफ द यूक्रेन वॉर, उसका कोई ऐसा मेजर इम्पैक्ट या जो इंटेंडेड इम्पैक्ट था जिसके लिए सैंक्शंस इम्पोज किए गए थे, ऐसा कुछ नहीं देखा गया ऑन द रशियन इकोनॉमी और ऑन द रशियन प्रॉफिट्स। और ये बोल सकते हैं कि उसका एग्जैक्टली ऑपोजिट हुआ है कि रशियन जो ऑयल कंपनीज है उनका प्रॉफिट इंक्रीज हुआ है। Then coming to an important fact, Cape Town Convention, what it talks about, what it is related to, and then obviously we'll talk about important facts related to India also in the context of this convention. So the go first insolvency matter, it has aircraft lessors worried about repossessing the planes that they had leased to this airline, and thanks to the company assets getting protection from seizure under the IBC, but with signs that India would ratify the Cape Town Convention, lessors they should feel reassured. So इसके बारे में हम पहले बात कर चुके हैं, but like this is coming after a long gap, so we are taking this up again. So Cape Town Convention क्या है? It is also like short form is CTC. So it is a global treaty which guarantees the rights of lessors to repossess their leased high valued equipment like aircrafts, helicopters and engines in case of payment defaults. So इसके कॉन्टेक्स्ट में हमने आइडेरा भी डिस्कस किया था। आइडेरा आई एम जस्ट टेलिंग यू द शॉर्ट फॉर्म कि जो लोग रेंट पे अपने एयरक्राफ्ट देते हैं, एंड इस केस में गो फर्स्ट एयरलाइन की हम बात कर रहे हैं बिकॉज दे हैव फाइल्ड फॉर बैंक्रप्सी, सो दैट्स व्हाई दिस टॉपिक इज इन न्यूज। सो लेसर्स जो लोग अपने एयरक्राफ्ट को लीज पे देते हैं, अगर वो company it like files for bankruptcy and there are like instances of payment defaults, so वो lessors जो उन्होंने अपने aircrafts lease पे दिए हैं, rent पे दिए हैं, उनको वो वापस अपनी country में वापस मंगा सके, उससे regarding is this Cape Town Convention. So legal instrument, it was adopted at a diplomatic conference which was held in Cape Town in 2001 under the auspices of the International Civil Aviation Organization and the International Institute for the Unification of Private Law, which is Union Droid. So at present, India, we are a signatory to this convention, but Parliament, it has not ratified the same. So signatory, being a signatory and ratifying it is two different things. So we are right now, we are just merely a signatory, but we have not ratified that. So unique situation, it has given precedence to the local court's judgment over the norms of this convention. Because we have not ratified it, so that's why like the local courts, they get the importance first in the hierarchy over the norms of this convention. So consequently, an interministerial consultation process that has been kicked off to revise the bill, which was tabled in Parliament in 2018. So India is reworking its CTC bill so that we are able to ratify it. So in the wake of the go first crisis, the global lessors, they are concerned about leasing the aircraft to India based airlines. So obviously अगर इस time जिन लोगों ने एयरक्राफ्ट को रेंट पे दिया था, लीज पे दिया था, अगर उनको बहुत ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम फेस करने को मिलेगी, तो ऑब्वियसली आने वाले टाइम में जो इंडिया बेस्ड एयरलाइंस रहेंगी वो उनको आने वाले फ्यूचर में क्यों एयरक्राफ्ट लीज पे देंगे। सो ये हमारे लिए एक प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट कर सकता है। सो दैट्स व्हाई आई गेस वी आर सो मच कंसर्न्ड अबाउट getting it ratified, and this is like not for the first time कि ऐसी चीजें हो रही हैं, पास्ट में भी हुआ है जब lessors ने अपने aircraft को they were able to successfully get them back during such kind of situation. And इसके अलावा जो बिल की बात की जा रही है, so that we able to like ratify this convention. So this is Cape Town Convention bill. So once it would be approved by the cabinet, it will be presented before the parliament. So if it is passed, resulting Cape Town Convention Act, it will guarantee the rights of the lessors to repossess their leased equipment. So 2018 में this CTC bill, it was first tabled in the parliament. 700 is the number of commercial aircraft in the countries. In India, 80% of the 700 odd aircraft in the category in the country, they are leased. So 80% like total aircrafts India में 700 है, उसमें से 80% जो है वो हमने लीज पे ले रखे हैं. So that is the data. तो जर्मनी के रिसेशन के बारे में we have already talked about. So Ujjwala scheme to free ration. BJP highlights the government work. So yesterday also we saw one of the advertisements which mentioning all the important schemes that was launched. So that was also important thing. Even this is talking about the different schemes that has been launched. So we'll just take up those important schemes. So booklet it was launched, which is titled Seva, Sushasan and Garib Kalyan. So the party sought to highlight the inclusive welfare schemes like Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, under which 96 million LPG connections they were issued and free ration distribution to 800 million people during the COVID pandemic, among others. So Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, that becomes important, and Metro Man, but in true terms, this title belongs to Modi ji. We factor in the magnitude of expansion that the sector has seen. Then around like 117.2 million Samman Ghars, they have been created for the public toilets for women in villages across the country. So India also now has the world's largest public healthcare program in the form of Ayushman Bharat Yojana. And then Jandan Aushadhi Kendras, around 9,300 that have been materialized. On the one hand, while the country's farmers, they have also benefited from the direct transfer of a Samman Rashi of rupees 6,000 under the scheme PM Kisan, and almost 54,000 kilometers of national highways they were constructed in the past 9 years as compared to 91,000 kilometers of highways in existence till 2014. And 111 waterways they have been chalked out, and metro rail connectivity has reached 15 cities from 5 cities that existed before. So these were some of the important schemes, and you can find out more. Then coming to Indian Express, here you can see here very like it's a big picture of the Lok Sabha House of the new parliamentary building. So new parliament tomorrow, and as I told you, what is the issue which the opposition is highlighting? So Tamil Nadu jewelers who made the Sengol, they are going to be honored. So in this picture, you can see Vumidi Ethiraj, who's 97 now. He was the person who crafted this Sengol. So up until 2018, the current generation in charge of the Vumidi Bengaluru Jewelers, which is a chain of jewelry stores in Chennai, was unaware of the part the family had played in the transition of the power as India awoke to life and freedom on 15th August 1947. So family was responsible for creating the Sengol, which is called scepter also, and that is derived from the Tamil word Simai, which means righteousness, according to an official document. And so he's going to be honored tomorrow. Apart from that, so here you can see the schemes, they have been categorized into different areas like infrastructure, health, we have Ayushman Bharat, foreign policy and defense. We have like run different missions to evacuate people from Sudan, from Ukraine, and even during like COVID-19, we have provided with the vaccine. So science and technology may we have 104 satellites, they were launched in the single flight by ISRO. In culture and heritage, 75 projects like Swadesh Darshan, Somnath Temple reconstruction, 10 new tribal freedom fighter museums, and Kedarnath redevelopment project they were undertaken. And in environment and sustainability, tiger population was at record high of 3,167. COP21 targets on the non-fossil fuel energy, they were like met 9 years ahead of the deadline. In education, new education policy becomes important. Farmers welfare, we have PM Kisan and Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. In social security, Jan Dhan accounts, Ayushman Bharat accounts, PM Suraksha Bima Yojana. In welfare, Ujjwala connections and Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, where free food trains they were distributed. Swachh Bharat mission that was there, and Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. And infrastructure, airports, like there were 74 airports since 2014 and 17 Vande Bharat trains, 400 made to be manufactured, metro rails in 15 cities. So that's how like you can also create different categories. So model of KNMA's new building coming up near the IGI airport that has been unveiled. So on a sweltering summer evening in Delhi, some of the Indian art's renowned names, they came to gather at the Kiran Nada Museum of Art in Saket for unveiling of the architectural model of its new building. So that's how it is going to look in reality. So US debt ceiling talks, they struggle as deadline nears. So if this becomes reality, we have talked about key how worse the situation can get. So deal for more military spending, a failure by the Congress to raise its self-imposed debt ceiling in the coming week could trigger a default that would shake the financial markets and send the US into a deep recession. So you can imagine what would be the situation if this becomes a reality. So the deal under consideration, it would increase funding for military and veterans care while essentially holding non-defense discretionary spending at the current year levels. So let's see what is going to actually happen. And it's all like it all depends upon the US. So here we have US and Bangladesh. So USA, it has issued a visa threat demanding free and fair elections in Bangladesh. So Prime Minister Hasina, she has been a steadfast friend to India also. However, US could be more open to political change in Dhaka. So USA, in a way, it is a kind of a threat to Bangladesh. Ki agar free and fair elections they are not conducted in Bangladesh, then they will be basically not issuing visa to the people of Bangladesh. So that is there, and India is also watching the situation very closely. So the US position in the Bangladesh elections, it could complicate India's diplomacy in Dhaka as well. So New Delhi, which is in no doubt that it wants Hasina back in power, may prefer to keep silent on the linking of the US visa policy to free and fair elections. So over the last few years, US and India, they were seen as acting in tandem in Bangladesh, especially in their security objectives, converged. So visa policy, it is a sign that this may be changing, and US is the top foreign investor in Bangladesh. So a post Afghanistan US with new priorities seems more open than India to political change in Dhaka. So that's one thing that we are witnessing. And apart from that, like nothing is much important in this article. What is XPOSAT? So India's first polarimetry mission to study the dynamics of bright astronomical X-ray sources in extreme conditions. So ISRO is collaborating with the Raman Research Institute, Bengaluru, to build an X-ray polarimeter satellite, which will be called the XPOSAT, and that is scheduled to be launched later this year. So XPOSAT mission, according to ISRO, XPOSAT it will study various dynamics of bright astronomical X-ray sources in extreme conditions. So it has been billed as India's first and world's second polarimetry mission that is meant to study various dynamics of bright astronomical X-ray sources in extreme conditions. So the other such major mission is NASA's Imaging X-ray Polarimetry Explorer, which is called IXPE, that was launched in 2021. So this is going to be second in the world and India is first. So the fourth mission is related to NASA. So when we talk about the NASA's mission, so it carries three state-of-the-art space telescopes. So each of the three identical telescopes, they host on lightweight X-ray mirror and one detector unit. So these will help observe the polarized X-rays from neutron stars and supermassive black holes. So by measuring the polarization of these X-rays, we can study where the light came from and understand the geometry and inner workings of the light source. So this has been in news a lot, the dancing girl of Indus Valley civilization and her story. So inaugurating the International Museum Expo in New Delhi's Pragati Maidan, Prime Minister unveiled the expo's mascot, which is a contemporarized version of the famous dancing girl of Mohenjo-daro. So, like that's the mascot, and mascot is regarded as the contemporary Dwarpals extending an invitation to the expo. So that was announced during the unveiling, and that's how is the real dancing girl. That's how she looks. And more than 5 foot tall adaptation that was subsequently criticized for distorting the form of the iconic 4,500-year-old bronze figurine. So she's like standing just 10.5 centimeter tall. The original figurine, it is dark and it wears only bangles and a necklace. You can see she's wearing bangles and one necklace. And the mascot that has fairer skin, so that is basically it is being like compared and then criticized. So when we talk about the dancing girl, so discovery of the Indus Valley civilization was when we talk about the time period, so 3,300 to 1,300 BC. Mature stage was from 2,600 to 1,900 BC, which is also known as the Harappa Mohenjo-daro civilization or the Sindhu Saraswati Sabhyata. So it was announced in 1924 after the sites and artifacts known since the early 19th century, they were correctly dated and recognized as part of the ancient culture like the ones in Mesopotamia and Egypt. So different sites like Harappa, it was in Punjab, Mohenjo-daro and Sindh, both they are in present-day Pakistan. So Dancing Girl was discovered in 1926 by the British archaeologist Ernest Mackay in a ruined house in the 9th lane of the HR area of Mohenjo-daro's citadel. So after partition, the dancing girl remained with India and the bronze figurine sits in the National Museum in New Delhi as artifact number HR 5721, enthralling visitors as the star of the museum's famous Indus Civilization Gallery. So if you want to just have a look, so you can visit the National Museum in New Delhi. Beauty and the attitude of the dancing girl. So she poses, she strikes, and what it conveys. It has long fascinated the archaeologists and the historians. And apart from that, like different people, different personalities, they have described her according to their own interpretation. Apart from that, as I just told you, that it is a bronze figurine and it is just 10.5 centimeter tall. So it's not very huge. It's like a small kind of a statues, and various inferences they have been derived from her. So it gives us the knowledge of metal blending and lost wax casting, which is a complex process by which a duplicate structure is cast from an original to create highly detailed metallic artifacts. So this becomes important. And then again, the entire Indus Valley civilization, all the important things, that also becomes important. So let there be Amul. So even this has been in news a lot. So normal and desirable economic competition must not be thwarted by misplaced subnationalism. So Tamil Nadu Chief Minister does not want the Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation, that is Amul, to procure milk from the states. That has been the issue. And he has even asked the Union Home and Corporation Minister Amit Shah to direct Amul to desist from infringing on Tamil Nadu Cooperative Milk Producers Federation, that is Avon Milk Shed area. So जो Tamil Nadu में है, that is called Avon, and Gujarat का, you know, it's very famous, Amul. So demand is uncalled for onto at least two counts. Ki Amul and Avon, they are supposedly farmer-owned and professionally managed dairy cooperatives. So it isn't desirable for any minister or bureaucrat to intervene in this business. So obviously minister and other personalities, they can't do anything or they cannot intervene in this issue when the Tamil Nadu chief minister is, you know, calling for the Union Home Minister to make sure that things they don't go that way as they wish. So the urge to control and reduce the cooperatives to the departmental undertakings, that has unfortunately only increased in recent times, both in states and center. So that is completely against the spirit of liberalization. Ease of doing business shouldn't be only for the large corporates. Definitely, that needs to be there for the cooperatives also. So that's how basically things they have taken a political turn. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you have understood all the important topics that we took today. And do like this video and subscribe to the channel.